Alright, let's get into it.
Someone hiked up to the Brazilian UFO location. They went up the mountain where this UFO craft was seen by Mike, right? And off in the distance that you will see is Mike's farm. Now, I want you to take note of how small the house is compared to the distance shared between where this UFO was seen. So, where this guy is standing now, which is right up on top of the mountain, there is no road access. It's completely rural. It's a deep forest, right? And the guy getting there had a serious bit of trouble trying to make it to this location in question, right? So, the UFO that where this area was, I mean, this looks kind of like man-made as it is anyway, like some ancient caverns or some sort of carving there. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe there was some sort of civilization there. Who knows? But the UFO in question must have been massive, right? Mike's house is absolutely tiny in compared to what he was viewing up on the mountain. Like I'll show you here, that craft up on the mountain was massive. It's obscene. So, whatever this was, up in the hillside, was not normal. Now the location for Mike's ranch. Okay, so he was up on the mountain up there. Now this is where the object was, and we're looking back from the ranch. Look how big that is in compared to the video that I just showed you. The houses was tiny. So whatever this sweet thing was up in the hillside, it must have been massive, and there's no way for anything being up in that general direction because there's no access or anything, and the object is above the tree line. It doesn't fit into the environment. It doesn't make any sense to what it is, and it almost looks like where that guy was, there's some sort of, I don't know, some ancient ruins or something up there on that ridge. So I don't know, guys. Pretty interesting. The more information that comes out about this, people are gaslighting Mike saying that this isn't true, but the amount of data, the Brazilian government acknowledgement, the ABIN contact, the multiple other witnesses which have shared their information and their videos and photos of the craft in question. There's even another piece that I'm going to share for you now. Right? Now, another local to Parana witnessed this object. Right? The same exact thing, the coloration. And they said that this thing was completely silent, hovering over the tree line, and it gave them goosebumps and made them a little bit fearful, right? And here's another image of said thing. So, pretty weird. The amount of eyewitness testimonies is something to really pay attention to. I've just uploaded a video on my YT.
For any of you that are interested in checking out his YouTube channel, you can find him under Interstellar Discussion. And I've seen a lot of these videos pop up here on TikTok. It's really interesting. I do not think it's a hoax as far as what they've seen. It's just a matter of what did they see. They might need to do some research and maybe LiDAR scan the area, because that might be actually temple ruins. And those lights could have been coming from them, and it's not even an aircraft. Really interesting stuff. Let me know what you guys think.
So we know a meteor was said to have exploded over Massachusetts, and people heard and felt that sonic boom. Well, now residents are reporting oddities in their sky, and it's starting with military helicopters and then these unidentified objects above them. And no, they're not drones, they're not balloons, but it's definitely something. So what's really going on? What were those sonic booms? Was it a meteor or was it something else? Take a look at these next set of videos, comment below, let us know what you think.
It's truly hard to tell what that is in the last video clip. And speaking of not knowing what it is, truly, when I came into the office today, not even 10 minutes ago, it's nighttime right now. Currently, it is 10 o'clock at night. When I stepped outside, there are two very large orb-like lights out there that are moving very weird. They drift one way and then the next they're drifting another. They could be drones, but it's one solid white orb. Well, two of them, but they're at a great distance apart from each other. I cannot tell what they are. I have no camera equipment or any kind of way to zoom in on what they could be, but the movements is very weird, and the way they're just looming in this area and not really going fast or far, it's kind of odd. And here in South Carolina, we had one of those sonic booms actually within my area, even though I didn't feel it or anyone that I know of. Makes you wonder. Hey, if you haven't done so already, and if you're enjoying the show, give it a like. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe. I typically upload a video like this 2 times a day, Monday through Saturday, early in the morning and later in the afternoon. And for everyone that's made it this far, thank you so much for supporting the channel.
Here's more things I want to know. I want to know about the Washington State Capitol, but not so much about the building itself. I just want to know about the dome. This beautiful Capitol building is just another example of amazing architecture right here in America that people just walk by and go, oh cool, there's an old building. And they don't realize that the dome on this building weighs 15,400 tons. It's the 5th tallest self-supported masonry dome in the entire world. It's 287 feet tall. So construction officially started in 1922 and it completed in 1928, just right before the Great Depression. The Great Depression, my other Rome. Like many other Capitol buildings, this is also reminiscent of Roman architecture with Corinthian columns and all those fine little details. Going back to the dome, which weighs 30.8 million pounds, it's a monster. This was designed by New York architects Walter Wilder and Harry White. Walter White. Interesting names. And they won a design competition to do this because back in the day, they just had design competitions to build these grandiose buildings. And sometimes these competitions were won by people that have never designed or built a building in their life. Apparently, these guys did study with the McKim, Mead & White architecture firm in New York. They were unknown architects that had very little on their resume, including not building a massive Capitol building with a 15,000-ton dome. But it seems like in the past, you can run before you walk a lot. So apparently very skilled masons laid over 1,600 stones to create the dome, which was completed in 1926, even though the whole building wasn't completed till 1928. And while there are construction photos, and they're very clear, there are no people in them for the most part. These are not construction building action shots. They're just staged moments of a building that has work being done to it. But it begs the question, what kind of work? And people forget that throughout time, ever since photography was invented, they've been able to manipulate photos. Now, I'm not saying these aren't real photos. I'm not saying they weren't taken when they were taken. But I'm just saying, where are the people? So I dug a little deeper. I looked online and I asked a couple of the AIs, who were the skilled masons that put this dome together to weigh 15,000 tons and erect it perfectly? And there are no names listed on the record. There was one construction supervisor named Jay Johnston, and apparently his background is pretty thin because I couldn't find a photo of him or much record of his existence. Apparently he had a son, and there's a story that branches off from there, but it's very, very fishy. But what I want to know, like all these buildings here in America and around the world that are just so staggeringly huge and weigh millions of pounds, who were these skilled masons? Where did they come from? And why did the ledgers not put them down? This was 1922 to 1928, not the 1600s. Wouldn't they want to hire these men for another building? Wouldn't they want to know who these perfectly skilled people were to come back and do it again for another structure? They didn't have cell phones. They didn't have text. They didn't have emails. Where the hell are you going to pull this roster up? From the Rolodex? I don't know. But I want to know who these master masons were. But what I really want to know is who on... It just seems like they're not going to do anything. Nothing. They're going to let it go. They told us how bad it was, and we didn't storm the castle. And these victims don't have any justice. I can't.
A 15,000-ton dome, but nobody can tell us who built it? Yeah, that doesn't raise any questions. It kind of makes you think that that building may have already been there, and it was improved upon by these people that are in question and or noted.
One of the more strange and interesting things in the newly released UAP files, it was not like a UFO sighting. It was atmospheric sampling. So in the file, which is DOW UAP D017, between 1948 and roughly 1950, scientists were collecting airborne particles. After some of these unexplained aerial phenomena events were happening, they were trying to determine whether they left behind any measurable physical traces, right? So think about that. So by 1949, they weren't just collecting, little notepads and notes with witnesses anymore. I mean, they were spending real money and real resources on these tests. And when you dig deeper into that, I mean, it makes total sense. These incidents were happening around Sandia Base, Los Alamos, Kirtland Air Force Base. These were some of the most sensitive nuclear and weapons infrastructure in the US at the time. According to the file, UAP activity was occurring frequently enough in New Mexico that the military created an organized reporting system to track this whole thing. So it wasn't just like one weird event, right? I mean, this was frequent enough for formal process to be put in place. The reports came from scientists, pilots, Air Force investigators, Los Alamos security personnel, people that were described in the file whose reliability was not questioned. And the response was serious. They got the FBI involved, the Atomic Energy Commission, military intelligence, Air Force investigators and scientists, everybody. So, and after all that, the document states that a logical explanation had not been provided. It was inconclusive. They also stated that the phenomena existed and should be continued to be studied scientifically until there was a satisfactory explanation for it. Now, the file does not prove aliens, but it does establish something very important. That by 1949, the United States military were conducting organized investigations into this reoccurring unexplained aerial phenomena, specifically around nuclear facilities. Not because they knew what it was, because they didn't.
It kind of makes you wonder what they found out about it, and or if they're still discovering it today, and or if they're utilizing what they discovered then.
How coincidental is it that one of the first people that were to get this brain chip from Elon is now able to shapeshift, has the ability to actually shapeshift right in front of people on the side of the street? We'll come right back to him, changing his eyes and things like that. So here's him talking about this new brain chip he got. And don't forget, there's people in other countries that are literally chipping their hands and everything to make it easier to buy products, a living parallel, if you will, from Revelation itself.
Do you have any side effects?
No, I don't have any side effects.
Do you have any?
I don't have any.
Can you feel it?
I can't feel it. I was able to do it and then I did it.
And how long did that take you?
That took me about a week.
And then you went home and...
I practiced at home.
And so what do you think the biggest benefit of this is?
The biggest benefit is that it's going to help people with spinal cord injuries and people with Parkinson's disease and people with epilepsy and people with depression, anxiety, and all these different things. I could still move the mouse with my mind.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, I had. It's actually pretty cool.
Is it like a chip?
It's a small chip, yeah.
Oh yeah, promise miracles for these people to merge themselves with artificial intelligence and technology. I get it. By the way, the spirit has left his eyes completely. They even say that these chips will allow these people to talk with machines directly without having to vocalize. It's funny, when they talk about these aliens, this demonic spiritual wickedness high places, how they talk without speaking. And now all of a sudden he can shapeshift in real time.
Kind of like what you see.
That's so scary. It's real, bro. It's real. Leo, how do you do that?
Yo, come check out dude's eye, man.
You wanna know what I think? I think it's a lie. He was never a human in the first place, and this is just some bullcrap to push this chip. I had a dream about this years ago, before I knew of any chip. And in the dream, the second these people, I think my dad in the dream, the second he did this thing, he was no longer a human, his spirit was gone, he was completely gone. Be careful, get the word out, get away from this stuff.
I mean, to me, it's quite obvious that majority of those clips are AI generated. In the Neuralink demonstration, I believe that that's a hybrid of two things. It's an actual demonstration at Neuralink. I do not believe he actually has the chip implant. And most of the clips that we're seeing from that demonstration are AI generated. I mean, the very last segment of this clip is clearly AI generated, where his eyes are all bugging out and some dude just walks up and grabs his head and points it towards the camera. I mean, we cannot be serious with that one. And I have seen this guy on TikTok plenty of times. What he used to do was primarily try to tell people that he could change his eyes into like lizard eyes or the shapes of his pupils. And he's been doing it for a while. He's been around just as soon as AI was starting to pop off. But to be real, I have absolutely no way to 100% fact check all of that to make sure what I'm saying is true. He may actually be some Neuralink implanted lizard person and everything that we're seeing on these videos are real. I just do not believe so. But I would really like to hear your thoughts and opinions on this one.
When they appear before a human, their first words are always, "Be not afraid." Biblically accurate angels aren't the shining humans with wings that we commonly see in pop culture, but the way the Bible describes them is quite different, and once you understand what they really are, those UAP files might make a whole lot more sense. Because a biblical angel's famous tagline, "Be not afraid," wasn't their way of comforting you, but rather a warning, because your human mind would be incapable of understanding what you're even looking at whenever they showed up. Now, the word angel comes from the Greek angelos, meaning messenger, their main purpose being to deliver some sort of announcement to us, which might kind of be exactly what's going on here. There's many different types of these angels as described in the Bible, and each one is just more incomprehensible than the next. So I'm going to explain to you in plain English biblically accurate angels as described in the book of Ezekiel, and then we'll talk about that. So the first type is called the Ophanim, also known as thrones, and this is pretty much exactly how the Bible describes them. The Ophanim appear in Prophet Ezekiel's vision of heaven, describing them as enormous spinning wheels within wheels in the sky, completely covered in eyes, which move in every direction instantly all at once, representing omnipresent awareness, that nothing can be hidden and it knows all. Everything, everywhere, at the same time, past, present, and future. That's what these eyes observe. The Ophanim are said to have the sparkle or color of chrysolite, which is a yellowish green gemstone, and move in perfect sync with what were known as the living creatures, of which 4 accompany the Ophanim in Ezekiel's vision, which were also called cherubim, which is the second type of angel, oftentimes depicted as little baby angels like Cupid in modern culture, but they are far from it, because cherubim are weird. So weird that Ezekiel struggles to describe them with mere human words and kinda doesn't even know what he's looking at. We do know that there were 4 of them, and each of those 4 had 4 faces, each looking in a different direction. One of a man, one of a lion, one of an ox, and an eagle. Now, these angels actually did have massive wings, 4 of them to be exact, and they kinda moved around in unexplainable ways and geometric patterns hard to physically describe. And they also moved in perfect sync with the wheels of the Ophanim. Again, kinda difficult to explain exactly what that means to a human mind, but that's the whole point of Be Not Afraid. Beneath their wings, the cherubim had the hands of a human and their feet resembled the hooves of a calf. They also glowed very brightly, like burning coals of fire and flashes of lightning. Oh, and their entire bodies, hands, and wings were also full of eyes. Seems to be a theme here. Now, above the heads of these cherubim and Ophanim was said to be an expanse, in some translations referred to as a firmament that looked like ice. And above that was a throne of sapphire with a figure that looked like a man glowing with fire and surrounded by a rainbow, which was probably God himself in this vision, who back in Genesis gave the cherubim flaming swords and instructed them to guard the gates of Eden after Adam and Eve were kicked out so that no one would be allowed back in. Just a bit of background lore here, which leads us to the next type of angel, one of the most powerful in the Bible, said to be closest to God in the celestial hierarchy, known as the seraphim. And just like the other 2, they're kind of hard to explain, as they're supposed to be beyond human comprehension. This one is described in the book of Isaiah as having 6 wings, one set that covers their face, another that covers their feet, and a last set that keeps them flying. The name seraphim literally translates to the burning ones, hence they also had a very fiery appearance to them, bodies of pure celestial light that would incinerate anything unworthy standing in their presence. Now, these angels all have an extremely divine, almost otherworldly appearance to them that the worldly mind is said to be unable to decipher, which is why all these depictions always look so weird and abstract. It's our best attempt at trying to understand something so humanly impossible. And when the prophets of the Bible saw them, they weren't like, "Oh, hey angel, great to meet you." They fell to their faces in reverence and begged not to be destroyed, terror followed by unexplainable awe. It's almost like they exist in a plane beyond our own, moving through dimensions we can't access and operate outside of worldly physics. I think you know what I'm getting at here, as it's leading some people to insist that this is what we've been seeing flying around in our skies and in those declassified government videos. UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena, which technically speaking is exactly what these angels would by definition be. Aerial phenomena that we can't exactly identify. And although many of the UAPs we've been shown do appear very metallic and mechanical, not angelic whatsoever, there are quite a few that do appear almost unworldly, flickering, glowing, and spinning in a similar fashion as described in biblical texts. There are also these images provided to us by NASA of faraway nebula filled with rings and what appear to be eyes in the middle, which many are pointing out do have a similar appearance to the Ophanim as well, hidden deep in our skies, exactly where they would be. Kind of a reach this one, I'll admit, but interesting to note. Because then we have the UAP files disclosure, which among many declassified videos released, showed us this one. The now famous 8-pointed glowing star-looking object moving through the sky in erratic patterns released by the Pentagon, which some people have already debunked as just being diffraction spikes from a drone lens or a signal flash being carried by a parachute, but you be the judge here. Because very, very similar objects as this can be found in ancient Sumerian tablets tablets, and even old Renaissance-era paintings, typically found alongside their mythical gods, some with wings, and other biblically inspired works, suggesting that maybe this isn't the first time whatever this thing is has visited us. Or maybe it's just an artist letting his imagination run wild. Well, strangely enough, there's almost a nearly identical shape as this star UAP found on the official logo of the CIA. Yeah, surely we're just reading into things a little too much over here, aren't we? And then there's this footage released to us shortly after by the Ukrainian military of, yeah, another star-shaped UAP zipping around erratically. This is officially released footage too, which kind of looks like... yeah, okay, anyway, moving on. I really don't know what to think about all this UAP disclosure being released recently, especially after seeing how the US Department of War styled the website they dropped them on. If you haven't seen it, it has a very ooh, top secret, classified info, movie-like aesthetic to it, and it all just feels very performative to me. Almost like they're trying a little too hard to shove this disclosure down our throats. But I do believe that these angels described in the Bible are in fact too great for our human eyes and minds to even begin to comprehend, so those videos are probably not that. So I'll finish this off with a piece of divine wisdom that points us to the truth more than any description or video can, as given to us by King Solomon in the book of Proverbs. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your path straight.
Man, I always find biblically accurate angels so fascinating. To me, or at least for me, it really expands my mind as to what outer space could be and if there really is a firmament. I tend to believe that there is outer space, and a lot of people think that just because I believe that doesn't necessarily mean that I believe in God, and that's not the case. I would believe that if there's a firmament, it would be beyond our reach of space. It wouldn't just be a dome above our Earth. That's why we have observable planets, because they're actually there. It's just a matter of how far is the firmament out in the space. And one theory that I've been thinking about specifically with Mars, and one reason why they're doing space exploration and or Mars exploration, is because that's possibly where the Garden of Eden is being guarded. And this is just a modern way of the fallen trying to find their way back. But a lot of people get really touchy when I talk about space like that, because the idea is there's a firmament basically above our Earth and there's no way past it. But my beliefs in that would be that there would be a firmament well beyond our reach of space. It's not just above Earth. But as always, let me know your thoughts, opinions, and theories. I really find this topic extremely interesting.
Okay, this is bad. This is really bad. 2 scientists got caught bringing Mpox, which used to be called monkeypox, into Detroit through the airport. You heard me right. 2 scientists smuggled monkeypox, now called Mpox, into Detroit. This just happened. The scientists Vincent Munster and Claude whatever from the Rocky Mountain Laboratories in Montana lied about bringing in the Mpox. Now, they're saying it's deactivated, but I'm pretty sure people on that plane didn't want no Mpox around. And it's not like the scientists warned any of the other passengers. According to reports, they smuggled vials of it. Vials of the Mpox from Africa through airports to Detroit. This Mpox, which used to be called monkeypox once again, is real bad news. Early symptoms of this devastating disease, if it's called a disease, are muscle aches, fever, chills, exhaustion. By the way, I feel like that just today. And I was on a plane a week ago, not in Detroit, but from Milwaukee to Reno. What are these 2 guys, or scientists, thinking, bringing this Mpox into the United States? Is it for some kind of test or something nefarious? I don't think it matters, because either way, I don't want it around me.
It just seems like we're determined at this point to spread some kind of illness. And it really makes you wonder how much of that actually goes down and they get away with it. These guys were just caught, but who else was doing this kind of stuff that was not?
Have you went and touched grass today? Well, you know what you can find when you go touch grass? You get to find pretty rocks. And more pretty rocks. There's the first one. And more pretty rocks. 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 And big pretty rock. Yep. That's what you can find when you go outside and touch grass. Got iron pyrite on these. And then white quartz. But that's the clearest one. It's got that iridescent look to it. And then there's, this one I found in Louisiana. I polished it though. So it brought up more of the color. So yeah, go outside and touch grass. You can find pretty rocks. Just saying. Thank you everybody for stopping by. Sure do appreciate it. Like, comment, subscribe. Remember, Jesus loves you. Go outside. Touch grass. Pick up nice rocks. Y'all have a wonderful day.
I personally have not rock collected in a while, or rock picking, I guess you could say. And one thing with those white quartz that you have, in the dark, rub them together. They'll flash orange, just in case you didn't know that already. And with that, I do believe it is about time for me to go outside and touch grass. It's 10 o'clock at night, but it's time. So I think that's what I'll do. Alright guys, I'm going to go ahead and end today's video. As always, I want to thank you guys for watching these clips with me. If today's your birthday, happy birthday, and if not, have a good day anyways.